Hey guys, welcome to another Texas Bolt Action Report. I'm here today with my friend Kevin, and we are going to be doing the scenario from the Ostfront book, the Olkhovatka Heights. I think that's how you pronounce that. If there's anyone watching from Russia, you can correct me on that, or just anyone who knows better. Yeah, today we are still kind of going with the Battle of Kursk. And we are going to be both trying to have control of the 3 victory points on these heights. The Russians have a fair amount of defense that they'll get to start the game. There's a kind of a sandbag bunker here, a couple of trenches, a couple of positions here. And the Germans will be coming on this edge of the table. And the Russians will be able to deploy anywhere on this half of the table. So go over the forces really quickly. Germans, straight Waffen SS, Panzer Grenadiers, or Panzer SS, SS Panzer, I don't really know. Anyway, I've got the veteran first lieutenant here. There are 5 Waffen SS squads with assorted weapons. Most of them have an LMG, a couple of them only have rifles. There is a medium mortar with a spotter. They are going to be supported by a Panzer IV, 2 half-tracks, and an Opel Blitz. Trying not to recreate what happened on the last Eastern Front battle with the packed front. I'm going to try to play it a little smarter this time, use the terrain a little bit more to my advantage. We're also going to have a free artillery spotter that we get to use at some point, so that will help a little bit. There's also going to be a prep bombardment, so that'll also help. Meanwhile, the Russians, we've got the just a regular first lieutenant. He's got a regular sniper. There is, of course, the inexperienced rifle squad, a regular 10-man cavalry squad, a squad of tank riders, which you see their models over there on this T-34. There's going to be 2 light machine gun squads, 1 medium mortar, 1 SMG squad. There's the artillery spotter for the Russians, as well as 2 inexperienced ZIS divisional guns this time. So they maybe aren't going to do as much damage as they did last time. We'll have to see. So anyway, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get set up. The heights have been of great interest to both sides. They've been being struggled for probably for weeks, and the Germans are about to attack and catch the Russians off guard, hopefully. And we're gonna see how it plays out. So we'll go ahead and deploy, and then we'll do the prep bombardment, and we'll let you know what happens. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after the deployment. Kevin decided to kind of take it easy on putting so many men up on the hill at once with that Tiger Fear rule. So he has positioned the ZIS divisional gun to cover the field out here where the Germans are sure to be coming. And he has positioned his artillery spotter up on the hill, as well as his mortar spotter, just kind of peeking around the side. And the mortar will be giving fire coordinates to the mortar, which is positioned down here. There is a squad of inexperienced men waiting just behind the hill, the classic front wave of inexperienced guys. And then we have the SMG squad to support that. There is a squad of tank riders moving up the road, and there happens to be a truck with 2 squads and an officer loaded in it as well. And the cavalry is off the table in outflank. So the Germans are going to be coming on. I haven't actually decided what I'm going to do deployment-wise yet, but we are going to go ahead and do the preparatory bombardment, and I'm sure I will decide before that, and we will start the game. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we're back after the preparatory bombardment. As you can see, both sides of this field have been shelled pretty much daily and hourly as this battle has raged. So it's not too surprising that the Soviets weren't too rattled by the fire. We had no effect on the truck, no effect on this, actually 1 pin on this gun, no effect on the mortar team. The spotters were up closer to the fire, so they did definitely take a pin. The gun back here was especially rattled. 2 pins as well as 2 pins for the sniper. The inexperienced squad, of course, took 2 pins, thinking that this was a really close explosion. However, most of the rear units, the SMG squad, as well as the tank riders, also did not take any pins. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 1. And Germans are about to come on. The Soviets know it after the preparatory bombardment. They know what's coming next. So we're going to go ahead and get this battle going, and we will let you know what happens, so stay tuned. Hey guys, we are back after turn 1. The Germans are beginning their advance. They led with a couple of armored elements, a couple of half-tracks full of men. One half-track advanced up here, and it dropped off its mortar team over here, and then the squad that was in it ran ahead to begin cresting the hill. The half-track in the lead, however, ran and took a mortar hit directly on it, but it failed to penetrate. That being said, though, it took 2 pins as well as the men inside, so the German officer is actually running up the road to try and help with that. Meanwhile, we have the artillery observer over here, still watching. Oh man, I forgot to put a marker down. Oh well, we'll just wait until the next turn, I guess. And we have one squad out in the open, trying to make it to that crater to give a little bit of covering fire to the squad ahead. We also have a squad in the woods over here that just advanced, that's just kind of feeling it out before they advance across that field and take on the guns. Meanwhile, Kevin's sniper and gun both failed their orders test to do an ambush, so they spent the entire turn down, just 2 rattled. The inexperienced squad did get it together though and managed to crest the hill, so they are now classically the first wave. Meanwhile, this squad is just laying low as well. Didn't actually ever put down call in an artillery strike. And we have the mortar spotter here as well that was calling in that attack on the half-track. Meanwhile, Kevin's just kind of moving everything up. This gun failed a rally, so they're still trying to figure out how to use the gun and still try to shake their fear. And we've got 2 squads in this truck and an officer moving up, as well as the tank riders moving up over here, and there is the submachine gun squad getting ready for some close combat over here. So it's a race to the heights right now, so we're going to go ahead and play turn 2, and we will let you know how it goes, so stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after the end of turn 2, and as you can see, the Soviets have swarmed the hill in force. The Germans did manage to get a squad that was down here up to this trench. They took a few shots at the inexperienced squad on the crest and didn't manage to hit any of them. And then after that, the inexperienced squad advanced up. They tried to fire at this squad, who was over here at the time in the open, but they ended up being out of range. But it didn't matter because the brunt of the Soviet attack basically came on in force after that. And as you can see, we've got one LMG squad, an officer, and another LMG squad at the back of the crest. The The tank moved up the hill. It fired its main gun at the half track, which was positioned here at the time. Missed with its main gun, but it emptied its machine guns into the Waffen SS and managed to cause a casualty. The tank riders hopped off. They did the same thing. They caused another casualty. So this SS is kind of extended and kind of in a bad way. Meanwhile, this gun and the sniper both failed their orders test, so they were unable to do anything. The submachine gun squad decided to shift its focus, move from here over to the right flank, and this gun finally was able to rally over here. The mortar called in another deadly strike on the half track, this time completely taking it out. The crew only took one pin or one casualty, and they bailed out, but with 3 pins. But they've got their officer team with them now, so they should be able to get something together on this next turn. Seeing all those Soviets on the hill caused the artillery spotter down here to go ahead and issue the bombardment, and that will be coming in shortly. As you can see, the marker has been placed right here in the middle of this clump of Soviet soldiers. So that's pretty much it. The mortar began to range in on the gun over there on that corner, but missed, so it'll be ranging in. The half track as well as this squad all took shots at the inexperienced men who were exposed on the flat part of the hill up there, but neither of them managed to hit. They needed a 5 to do it, couldn't get it done. So that's pretty much the turn. We're going to go ahead and carry out the artillery strike, and we'll let you know how it goes, so stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after a potential artillery barrage, but as you can see, nothing has happened. The artillery battery is busy. It's been a delay, so we're going to go ahead and play turn 3, and we're going to get back to you, so stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after the end of turn 3, and as you can see, that was turn 4, not turn 3. We're clipping along here. So, what was that? Turn 4, turn 3? Yeah, because I drew and I started the game. Okay, so it was 3. All right, sorry everybody, turn 3. Okay, so as you can see, the Soviets have stalled a little bit here. Their machine gun squad has been whittled down to just 1. They were given a UN Snap 2 with the officer here, and he ordered this machine gun team and this tank riders team to put everything they had into this Waffen SS squad that was dug in here. That squad ended up going down, and it ended up not killing a single person. So no hits. They spent the turn down, but they survived the onslaught. But because he moved that team up there, they received fire from this squad, the MG over here, as well as from the officer team over here that emptied their machine pistol clips into them and got them whittled down to 2 men. Meanwhile, the tank moved up and fired at the German tank, which has entered the table on the right flank. The German tank had originally fired at the Soviet tank but missed. It did rake the inexperienced guys with its machine guns, managed to kill one of them. The inexperienced squad also received fire from these men down here and also managed to take a few casualties. And they also received fire from these, actually no, these guys ended up firing at those guys. So anyway, taking some casualties here and there. Russian tank moved up, fired at this tank, missed, fired at this team, and managed to kill one of them. So yeah, a few German casualties here and there, but for the most part, the Germans are hanging in. Meanwhile, every unit on this up in this stronghold still has not been able to pass an orders test, so they ended up going down. The squad over here that was in the half track ended up rallying, and we decided not to move the artillery barrage marker. We're going to leave it where it is. As you can see, some of the Russians are falling back. For some reason, it seems like they have a little bit of intelligence that maybe that's about to happen. But the Soviets did pass their orders test, and they placed their marker danger close to their lines right here. So it's looking like we're going to possibly have 2 artillery barrages coming in between turn 3 and turn 4, and that could decide the game. So we're going to go ahead and play this next turn out. I should mention that the mortar did take a shot at the men in this this foxhole here and did not manage to hit anybody. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and play out the artillery barrages and see what happens, and we'll let you know how that goes, so stay tuned. All right, guys, coming in after the after the German bombardment, the Germans actually rolled a 1, which means that the marker got moved back over here randomly to this truck, and then we were working 9 inches off that. So the truck took 1 pin, the mortar ended up taking 2 pins, the spotter team took a pin, and then the squad down here of tank riders took a pin. So the Germans didn't get what they had hoped for out of that bombardment, but we're going to go ahead and do the Soviet bombardment now, and we'll let you know what happens, so stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after the Soviet bombardment, which did not go according to plan. Kevin rolled a 12 or a 6 plus 6, which was 12 inches off the marker, which was positioned here. Every unit got rolled for. These men took 3 pins. These men took a couple of pins over here. 3 pins on the half track. Officer takes 3 pins. However, the tank rider squad took a direct hit with the heavy howitzer, which meant that every squad around them was also an eligible target, which means that this squad was completely wiped out from being pinned. They actually only lost a couple of men, but they were pinned out. This squad was also pinned out. The tank riders, they're no more. The officer lost his man and had to stay on the board. Took 1 minute. He needs orders test. We forgot the orders test for him. And then the tank rider squad also passed their orders test, or the LMG squad passed their order test, so they get to stick around. So I would say this has been a pretty successful tilt in the battle. It's going to be interesting to see what happens from here on out. So we are going to go ahead and play turn 4, and we will let you know what happens. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after the end of turn 4. And man, the barrage really caused a lot of confusion for both sides. These men right here tried to move. They had their officer with them. They just needed a 10 to get it done. They rolled a 12, which caused them to foobar and fire upon their officer. Of course, luckily they missed, but they could not get it together. They went down, and then right at that moment, the cavalry charged onto the table on horseback, dismounted, unloaded their guns into the squad, but only killed 1 man. So got a little bit of a face-off going on here with the cavalry and the Waffen SS. Cavalry are a tough fighter. Waffen SS are fanatics. They're down to only a few men. The cavalry did take a casualty, though, from the spotters over here with their guns, so that helped out a lot. This vehicle took another mortar hit and knocked it down, or put another pin on it and just stunned the crew. The Soviet tank took fire from the Panzer over here, which immobilized it and jammed the turret in that direction. So this tank fired at the German tank but missed. Did fire its machine guns at this squad. Or actually, no, you know what? That didn't happen because it was actually immobilized, so it just went down. That happened last turn. My bad. Okay, so these squads this squad started to advance up the hill anyway, regardless of their pin. They took shots at this guy but missed. Officer team took shots from their officer, but only managed to cause a pin. Meanwhile, these squads are just hanging back here. Kevin's doing pretty well to keep his reserves in check. And we have the outflanking German truck that moved up to the base of the hill, hopped its units out, knocked off the Soviet sniper, so the sniper's dead. This squad is moving up. They managed to eliminate Kevin's inexperienced squad. So the Germans are making a little bit of an effort, but it's going to be complicated by the Russians over here. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 5, and we will let you know how it goes. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back after the end of turn 5. And as you can see, the Germans are pressing the initiative over here on the right flank. This squad moved up over the foxholes and fired at the divisional gun and killed the entire crew, which made it possible for this squad, which had jumped out of this truck, to move up to and take the position. This squad had moved up and fired at them, but they fired back at that squad and managed to kill a couple of guys and managed to kill the NCO. And so this squad, the submachine gun squad, is down a couple of men, but they do all have submachine guns and they are within assault range. They're getting very close. So it's going to be pretty brutal over here on the right flank. This squad moved up to try and take shots at this squad and give some support. And as you can see, they were able to put a pin on them, but not actually kill anybody. So that's what's happening there. This gun is also in play, so this gun's able to put fire down there as well. This gun, however, was busy firing over here at these men. Didn't manage to get a hit. The Russian officer was taken out at point blank with fire from the German officer, which is pretty fantastic. This squad managed to shed all their pins and wipe out the LMG team squad that was sitting right here. And finally, the Panzer IV scored a winning hit on the T-34, catching it on fire, knocking it out completely. So that objective is also uncontested. Meanwhile, down here, this squad tried to pass an orders test again with the help of their officer, which was down here. Again, they rolled a foobar, and this time they were forced to retreat away from the cavalry, but that forced them to the middle of the field, so they're not in a horrible position if they can just get their shit together. Meanwhile, the cavalry keeps taking fire from this pesky artillery observer over here, who killed the NCO and pinned him again. And they actually failed their orders test this time and were unable to do anything. So they ended up going down. So the Germans are pressing the initiative over here. The mortar team couldn't find a viable target, so it started moving its spotter out of the woods. He's kind of creeping across the field to maybe get into better position. Sorry guys, I hit the stop button, but basically he's advancing across the field to try and get a better position over there. Trucks ended up going down, not a whole lot else really happened, but as you can see, the Germans are starting to push up the hill to take the objectives. There is cavalry over here still, but it's looking like this could be within the Germans' grasp. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 6. And we will let you know what happens. The scenario in the book actually calls for 8 turns. I don't think we're going to make 8 turns tonight. This could be the last turn, and we might play a 7th turn depending on how Kevin feels and how what his odds for victory are at the end of turn 6. So we'll see what happens. So stay tuned, and we'll let you know what took place. All right, guys, we are back after the end of turn 6, and this is actually going to be our final turn due to time. But I've got to say, this has been one of the funnest battles I've played in a very long time. So basically, over here, as you can see, the Soviets hold this objective. Those tough SMG SOBs ran up the hill. They assaulted the Waffen SS, the fanatics. They took them out, and they took the objective. They retook it. This squad was only able to get up to the crest and kill one more man out of this squad. Even without their NCO, they were able to hold that objective. So the Soviets get 5 points at the end of this game for holding that objective. So good job on them. Meanwhile, over here, this Waffen SS squad got it together and came around the side of the burning tank and took this hilltop objective. So they received 5 points for that. They received fire from the squad that advanced from down here, but didn't manage to do anything. This squad also took casualties from this squad when they fired upon them. They also received fire from the gun, which missed, so there wasn't a whole lot that the Soviet backline could do about that. Meanwhile, mortar definitely fired again at the half-track, still failed to knock it out. Half-track ended up rallying and getting itself down to 2 pins, so it survived the game brilliantly. Meanwhile, this squad also managed to rally and lose their pins, all but one of their pins, so they would have definitely moved up that hill had we played any more turns. The cavalry just decided it had enough with the with this spotter team over here, and they assaulted and took out the spotter team in a glorious grudge kill, but they did lose a couple men in the process, so fantastic. So as it stands right now, the Germans hold 1, 2 of the objectives needed to win. The Soviets hold 1. 5 points per objective, which means that the Germans get 10 points. We're going to add to that the Soviet units that they killed. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 points. And the Soviets have 5 plus the 4 German units they killed. That's 9 points. So the Germans definitely resoundingly win this match. But I gotta say, that was one of the funnest games I've played. The artillery barrages, the dual artillery barrages, all the assaults, really just the terrain. Like, guys, I highly recommend, if you want to liven up your bolt action games, add some good hillside terrain. It makes for so much fun. It really kind of mixes up the battle, and it really adds for some realism. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed watching. As always, join the Facebook group, Texas Bolt Action. Subscribe to my videos, like and comment, and let me know what you'd like to see. And yep, that's pretty much it. So I've got a few more games lined up this week, so hopefully to get some content cranked out to you guys, and hopefully start working on some Battle of the Bulge stuff pretty soon. It's starting to get a little bit cold in Texas. So anyway, hope you guys all have a great day, and we'll see you soon.